Thank you for joining us for Pet Connect. I'm Tara Douglas. We're starting our segment today with our available pets of the week, and we are highlighting two of our longest residents at the Sylacauga Animal Shelter. We have Kit and Rick. When their pictures come up in just a moment, there's Rick. He is a shepherd mix, and he is a very sweet dog. He's 3 to 4 years old. He does have heartworms, but they are setting him up for his heartworm treatment soon. And then I believe we have some pictures of Kit. She may be up in a second, but Kit is also one of our longest running residents. She is a beige dog. We may not see her pic. There she is, with Rick there. Kit is on the left, Rick is on the right. And Kit is 2 to 3 years old. She just got finished with her heartworm treatment, and they are both really sweet dogs. Obviously, they've been dog tested, and they do great with other dogs. We had enough volunteers out at the shelter last weekend where we could get them out together and see how they did. And I've had the opportunity to take both of them for a walk, and they're both sweet dogs. They're people-friendly, dog-friendly, and what's first and foremost on a lot of people's minds are they kid-friendly, and they have both done wonderful with kids. And if you would like to, if you're interested in adopting them, please contact the shelter, or you can contact Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill to see about meeting them and hopefully finding them a home. But with talking about them being very kid-friendly, that is going to be our focus today. We are going to discuss the benefits of raising a child with a pet in the house. And our special guest today is Kay Jennings. She is the Executive Director of Tcr Child Care Corporation. So Kay, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now tell us about TCR.
TCR, we are a nonprofit agency that is in Talladega, Alabama, and we have Head Start programs and pre-K programs and a lot of other grants, contracts that we do throughout the state of Alabama. Here in Sylacauga, we operate Tcr Child Development Center, and then we are working on opening a program in Hanover in Coosa County. And then, of course, we have some centers in Childersburg, Talladega, but that's the immediate locations of where we currently have here in Talladega, the closest locations.
Okay. So I've heard a lot of talk about the new Coosa facility. You haven't had a facility in Coosa County until
we have.
now.
We've been in Goodwater,
okay.
And we are going to remain in Goodwater, and I should have mentioned Goodwater just a second ago. But this is a new opportunity. We were approached about 2.5 years ago by the school system, and they wanted to know, as they had vacated the high school, Central High School, if we could possibly put a program there. And there was a grant opportunity with the Office of Head Start, and we applied for it, and luckily we received that.
Okay.
And it's been a process. We have to have it licensed, so we have to go through some steps to do that and get that all set up. But we're in hopes that we'll be able to open that program and start enrolling children by the 1st of November or the end of this month.
Oh, that's great.
We have the fire marshal who will hopefully be out next week, and we know he's going to treat us well. We're going to do good. We've worked really hard to satisfy our fire marshal.
That's perfect.
Because that's so important.
Now, with the Coosa County facility, we just discussed you were on Randy Clark's employment opportunities several weeks ago. Are you still looking to fill some spaces there for teachers? Or?
Yes, we have some vacant positions there. We have some vacant positions here in Sylacauga. We have vacant position in Childersburg. So we are looking to fill positions. With it being Head Start and Office of School Readiness First Class Pre-K, there are some requirements. However, we can work with individuals to get those credentials. We've sent multiple employees through the Teach Scholarship program where they got a 2-year degree and worked on and got a 4-year degree.
That's great.
Many are still with us, and many have left to go to work for the school system. And it's just a great opportunity, in my opinion, to get a scholarship and to further your education. So if you have a young person in your house and college, the cost of college and expenses is something that you must always consider. And they want to go into education and work with children and families, this is a great opportunity for them to work, get a scholarship, get experience, those kind of things.
That's wonderful. Now, before we get to the benefits of pet ownership, how can someone contact you if they are looking for
The best way to contact us is to go to our webpage. That way you'll see all of our phone numbers, all of our email addresses, and our website is www.tcrchildcarecorporation.org. And that's T as in Tom, C as in cat, R as in rat. So www.tcrchildcarecorporation.org.
Great. Now, you are obviously around a lot of kids and have a lot of experience with kids. And there's so many people that have fond memories of pets growing up, and so many parents right now that have children that are begging for a pet, a cat or a dog. What are some of the benefits of a child being raised with a pet in the house?
Pets can teach children a lot of things. One of the best things it does is it teaches them responsibility. It teaches them empathy. It's all I think that with what we do, empathy is the best thing because it shows children to help them understand the feelings of others and how your interactions impact something else. So if if you have a puppy and you're playing with them and they're fetching and they're doing everything, their tails are wagging, they're happy, they're jumping. But as soon as you scold a puppy, then you can see how that affects its overall. I'm sorry, I'm at a loss for words, but its overall appearance and everything. The responsibility, of course, is feeding, grooming, making sure that the pet, if it's an indoor pet, you're taking it outside to allow it to do its business, for lack of a better word. Just having that responsibility is also a good socialization. Believe it or not, people talk to their pets. They oftentimes they become an extension of the family. It's no longer just a pet, but it's an extension of the family, and the pet's personality oftentimes reflects that personality of the family. So you find yourself talking to your pet.
And you can trust a pet. They're not going to tell anybody what you told them.
They don't tell your secrets. No, they do not tell your secrets. So it's just a good overall thing for children to have a pet. And as you were talking earlier, I was thinking about this morning, is Christmas is getting close. So not only is it a good thing to have it, for your children to have a pet, but I think that as a family, to get into another area, is that you have to consider, is it a right fit for your household?
Absolutely. You have to know that dog is a good size for your household. You have to train your children to know how to interact with a dog or cat. And then, of course, a dog's going to have training to know how to be a good dog in a household. So everyone has to get trained when you have a pet coming in.
And what the research that we've read about pets for young children, because of course we work with preschoolers, 3 and 4 year olds, is that it's difficult. You have to be careful. It's great for them to have a pet, but they're at the age that the responsibility. So as the parent, you can't buy your 3, your 4 year old or adopt or whatever a pet and expect them to remember to feed, to remember to take them out, to do those things. So as the parent, it's an active responsibility for you as well.
Absolutely.
And it's a teachable moment of responsibility, and that responsibility is allowing your children to see you make an informed decision and sticking to that informed decision, because once you get a pet and you have them several months, and this is very often what happens at Christmas time, people go get a pet because their child wants a puppy, Santa Claus to bring them a puppy. So Santa goes and gets the puppy, and a puppy is a very demanding, time-consuming factor. And then it's like, oh, well, we didn't consider this. We travel a lot. We didn't consider, who's going to take care of the puppy. We work swing shift, we work long hours, etc. Who's going to take care of the puppy while we're not here? So those are all things that you have to consider before you take the leap.
And that's where potentially getting an older dog from the shelter, because of course we encourage people to look at the shelter to find pets, and then oftentimes if you can get an older dog from the shelter, they can come to the shelter almost trained. You can tell that at some point in their lives they've been house trained. You can also really know that dog's personality, where with a puppy you don't know just yet. But
puppies are wild.
They are. We're fostering a puppy right now, and that's why I have circles under my eyes. That we've adopted 2 adult dogs from the shelter, and they were very easy to train. So that's why it's so nice that we've got the ability for people to go to the shelter and meet some of the adult dogs. And you were talking about the younger kids, the 3 to 4-year-olds that can't be completely responsible for taking care of a dog, but that can help build a lot of their self-confidence and self-esteem, because they can see that they are valued as they're learning to do that they've done something of value to take care of an animal.
Yes, it's never too early to teach a child empathy. It's never too early to talk to children about being responsible. And being responsible for 3 and 4-year-old would be, how do you pet a puppy? Because puppies are soft. Kittens are incredibly soft, and you want to pick them up. And of course, a very young child it's a teddy bear, and just showing them, how do you handle a kitten? How do you handle a puppy? But I do agree with you in regards to the adoption of an older pet, sometimes because they are more settled.
They are.
They are more trained, and you can go in and see the temperament. And we learned a valuable lesson. It's been many years ago, we adopted a pet from the shelter here in town. And one of the things, we were buying it as my children wanted a Christmas present. They wanted a dog as a Christmas present. So we come adopt a dog, but what we didn't realize, and we didn't ask the right questions, was that Piglet, that was his name, Piglet, he didn't like children. He wasn't mean to children, but he didn't like children. So apparently his family before us possibly was older adults, and he had never been exposed to children, so there was never that bond. And in fact, if anyone without children moved in close to us, he would quickly move out and go live with the adults up the road. And we were lucky enough that happened to be our mother-in-law. But he would go live with Granny. And that's where he lived, was with Granny. And he was happy with Granny. So...
And that's where it's very good to have volunteers through feral dogs and volunteers through the shelter, because that can help the shelter figure those things out. Because oftentimes we'll see a dog listed that it's available, and they'll mention the situation they think the dog will be most successful. And they couldn't do that without the volunteers going out and kids being able to go out with their parents to interact with the dogs, because like you said, that's very important information to have.
Well, the shelter here is such a valuable resource to the community.
It absolutely is.
And the people that live here. So anything that we can do to support that, I think, is very important.
Now, one other thing that I read about the values of kids and pets, there was some research done that said that kids will read and learn a lot better if they have a pet, that they're holding a pet and they'll want to read or read to the pet, like you were saying, talking to our dogs.
I think we probably read some of the same research, because I believe that was out of the University of Ohio.
Okay.
And the veterinarian school there, and they did some research. And even for children, I didn't know this because I always struggled to get my son to read in his spare time. But anyway, they were saying a good way to encourage that is if you have a pet, that to allow the children to read to the pet, that becomes a time for them and the pet to be together. And I was like, well, I've not thought about that.
Yeah,
so if that's a wonderful impact that you could have, is that if you can get your child to do that, then
that's great.
That's great, yes.
And then in addition, with being a healthcare provider, there's so many things that a dog or cat can do to help build a child's immune system. So there's so many benefits to pet ownership. And if you're thinking about adopting a pet and you're ready to have one in your household and you have kids, then there are lots of reasons to let your child be raised with a wonderful dog or cat. And you can go to the shelter, you can contact the shelter. Again, you can contact Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill to find out about the different dogs and cats that are available. And Kay, thank you so much for coming on the show this morning. We appreciate it.
Well,
And
I'm glad to be here.
we'll have you on again sometime. We'll think of something else we can discuss that.
Well, I was just looking down at my notes, and there's so many more things we
there
could have
are.
dived into today with pet ownership.
And
So
we'll do that. We'll have a second time that we'll discuss all of those great things.
sounds good.
So join us next week. We'll have Virginia Kaufman. She is the owner of the new Yoder's gift shop in downtown Sylacauga. And remember that we have Kit and Rick, those two dogs available. Greystone that we highlighted last week got adopted. So that's a very exciting update for him. And I'm hoping we're starting a streak here with getting some of our lovely dogs in homes from the shelter. Thank you so much for joining us.
Go Greystone.